Greetings, class. It's Erma Sinclair here. I am currently in Atlanta, Georgia at a conference, and it's 3 a.m. here. But I wanted to make this video because I'm at a conference, and content and conference day-to-day stuff just won't allow me to do it otherwise. So I have really appreciated this class. One quote that I am still dealing with and holding on to is a quote from week 4, lecture 1, when Professor Lee talked about how not all traditional theology is biblical theology. And though I have felt that conviction, um, I've never heard it named outright that way. As well as this idea of how contextual some of the like standard theology is. Like when we talk about like Lutheran theology, we talk about like these various practices and how they really were all contextual and they were passed down as like traditional when in fact it's more appropriate to see them as contextual and to thus see our own context as a gateway to a really profound practice in Christian faith. And so I really appreciated the naming of that, and I've appreciated the ways that that's just been outlined for us. Two things that I'm really walking into toward the end of this class is ecclesiology, the idea of how structures impact faith practices that build up and build into our faith. So for me, I wasn't raised in church. I came to faith through uh, being involved with a campus ministry that is under InterVarsity Christian Fellowship and with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, and I go to a multicultural, non-denominational Black Pentecostal church, I like to call it, because there's so many intersections, right? So it's like we're Pentecostal, so we celebrate Pentecost, but we also celebrate Lent. Like we fast for Lent. We also do communion. We also do baptism, but there's like this Holy Spirit vibe that can break out at any moment. So it's a lot, and it's normal to me. And when I look at all of the different denominations, and like 7 sacraments that we talked about in Catholic faith, and just kind of the rigidness of some of these like structures, I just am really interested in how those things intertwine and overlap and integrate to create faith practices and the integration, right, rather than the rigidness of them. It has been more the integration that has blessed me in my own faith walk. So ecclesiology is really something that I'm walking into with a different perspective and just a developed category for it, as well as the symposium that I got a chance to watch online that Professor Lee talks about, the integrated symposium on, let me make sure I get the name right. It was Holistic Healing with Dr. Tama Bryant Davis. It was just so beautiful, like to watch her talk about the integration of psychology and theology in this embodied form. So it wasn't just like she was presenting about it, but it was the way she was presenting. Like she would take a break in the middle of her lecture to let people breathe because she was talking about trauma. And she understood that when you talk about trauma, people's trauma is going to come up. So in her leading and facilitating, she was like pastorally and psychologically caring for the room she was like teaching. And she also was talking about her own trauma on top of that. And then she was like dancing and like singing. And then she did this monologue. And it was just an embodied representation of what it could look like to heal, to have liberated theology be one that's not just liberated, socially and spiritually, but also healed. And I think that that was just a beautiful representation of what integrated psychology and theology can do, particularly in the Black community. And I'm walking into that just overjoyed. So, yeah.